So I want to do a look that's a little bit more everyday, something women especially would have actually worn in their day-to-day lives. Now, this is through a lot of my research in vintage magazines that I have and vintage products that I collect. But just like in life now, most women don't walk around in a full beat all day, every day. If you saw Sophia Nygaard's 100 Years of Wedding Dresses video, you may have seen me apply a 1920s type toner. A lady would have just taken a little cotton bud and like wiped her face down with it right before applying her moisturizer, which probably would have been something very simple like an almond type moisturizer thing. Now, I don't own any almond moisturizer, but what I do have is my very fancy Tarte Drink of H2O, but it does have a really nice priming effect. Foundations were not yet around. Most ladies would have just used powder to conceal or try to even out their skin tone in the best way that they could. Moisturizer acts as a primer, and so that they would use their moisturizer not only to get the benefits of the hydration, but also to help the makeup adhere to their skin because everything was in powder form. So here I actually have two different powders from 1920. So this one I actually believe to be older. I think that this is the original packaging from 1879, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and look at my notes. The packaging really didn't change until almost the mid-1920s, and then Bourjois came out with a different packaging. Now I have this one in this little, I don't know how to say this brand name. I want to say it's Tokalon. It's a French brand. This one has a little bit of color to it. I don't want to open it because I don't want to inhale it, but you can kind of see it on the back side here. Very, very fair. Very like light colored. And all my 1920s powders that I own in my collection all tend to be pretty fair. So that's why I'm mixing up something that is a little bit lighter and pinker than my skin tone because I feel like that's pretty close to what somebody would have worn. So they would have started out by taking a powder puff and just dipping it into their powder and just pressing and rolling it into their skin to create a nice even base. And then taking a brush that probably looked a bit like this is from Besame, probably would have brushed away the excess. Just take away the rest of the powder. So I'm actually pretty impressed with that coverage. So for the next step, we're going to continue with the brows. Brow pencils did exist back then, and there's proof, there's tons of them out there in the vintage world. I don't happen to own any, but I'm just going to go in with my NYX brow pencil, and this is just in the color charcoal. Now the shape here is really what's important. Women really were not plucking their eyebrows until later in in the 1920s. It was at the very beginning, mostly it was filling in and elongating the shape. That kind of super arched wasn't almost until 1930. So I'm just gonna fill in a little bit at the arch and kind of go downwards because they had kind of these rounded, soft brows. Now I have a mascara from 1920. This is a Maybelline mascara. I'm gonna show you guys what this looks like. So when you open it up, it has a little cake here that you would have wet with water, and you have your tiny little brush and your tiny mirror. It's like 100 years old now, so looks nice and gross. But you would have wet it like this, and then you would have like painted your little lashes or maybe drawn on your eyebrow very carefully. And perhaps you would have even taken a different brush. Now I have here a replica, cake mascara from Besame again, and I'm going to use this just because I feel like it'll be more true to the formulas that they would have used at the time. And I'm just going to take an artist brush and I'm going to swirl it around. So something that I think gets overlooked when we're talking about 1920s eye makeup is the cultural phenomenons that were happening at the time. You know, when we think of 1920s, we think of that very dark, smoked eye look made popular by actresses like Clara Bow and Theda Bara. And what kind of gets overlooked is that there was this other major cultural event, which was the finding of King Tut's tomb. And everybody was having this crazy like Tut mania, and they wanted to paint their eyes to be kind of either elongated like King Tut or very, very rounded like the silent movie actresses. But what was probably more common is just a very light line very close to the lashes, just to darken them a touch, and it would have extended just slightly past the natural line of the eye. And then they may have smudged it a bit with their fingers. Now I can't tell if it's my powder that's interfering with the color of this liner, but it's not very dark. Minor complaint. Now I'm gonna do much the same as they would have back in the day and take their little brush. This is the little brush that comes with, ooh, I need my mirror. So using the little brush that comes with it, I'm just going to paint my eyelashes a little. And this actually works pretty well. That's pretty much the eye look complete. So for blush, I actually had a pretty hard time finding a very good dupe for 1920s blushes. Now this is by Pond's. I estimate this is about 1920s. Now I can actually still swatch this. Take a look at that color. It's like a very pretty rosy, but it's very vibrant. And I looked high and low in my kit for something that mimicked this color. So I couldn't find anything that was an exact match to this blush. But what I did do is I tried to look for something that was, if not the same hue, the same value. Basically, if you were to turn these into a black and white swatch, they would be somewhat similar in terms of value and intensity. And I'm going to use this as my blusher. This is actually an eyeshadow. This is made by Morphe and it's called Redhead. And they would have just used little circular motions on their cheeks and then taken a clean cotton bud and just worked it around until they got the intensity that they wanted. The key to 1920s makeup is everything is round, right? Like the blush is round, the eyes are round, even though I do think that I got a pretty good color match to my little swatch here. So this is actually the only 1920s lipstick that I own. This is a Coty Gitane. This is a push-up lipstick and it actually still has some of the color left in there. I think I'm just gonna do the same thing and I'm just gonna swatch it for you guys just so we can get a feeling of what that color is, okay? And it's like a really dark crimson and it's freaking gorgeous. And I would still wear this even though I don't really want to put 100-year-old lipstick on my face. I know that other people have done it in their videos and I'm not going to do that. I went through all of my lipsticks, you guys, trying to match this color. Like I said, I did not go out and buy any new makeup for this tutorial. I'm just using things that I own. So this is a brand new lipstick. I'm going to use it straight from the bullet and in this kind of Cupid's bow shape. And if you're really fancy, you may have even applied your lipstick with a lip brush. I have to say this is a really nice brush. This is Besame makes this brush and it's a retractable lip brush. So I don't know if you can see that. Really nice brush, really keeps its shape and its point while you're using it. And then even after you clean it. So I've been enjoying using that one. So there you have it. That's pretty much it with the exception of one last detail. If you were going out for a night and really wanted to, you know, show off to your friends, you might apply a little bit of Vaseline. Now, this is my same tube of Vaseline that I've been trying to get rid of for about 2 years now. But they would take a little bit of Vaseline and they would just apply it to the lid just for that little hint of shine. And that was about all women did. That was the whole routine. So I definitely feel really pretty in this look and it's very glamorous and I can see why women wanted to wear it on a daily basis. It's such a departure from the Victorian era and the Victorian looks where a lick of makeup and you were a harlot or worse, an actress. So yeah, I feel like this is really women embracing their femininity, owning their power and their sexuality, and telling their Victorian moms to F off, you know, just be like, I'm gonna go drink and dance and smoke and kiss all the boys and there's nothing you can do to stop me. I'm a flapper. Yeah, I'm gonna end it there and I'll see you guys soon.